Oh yeah, we are back, baby. And the intro music, relax, only means one thing. Mazer, Adam Mays, we are talking Zoolander 2 today, buddy.
Yes, I was contained last time. Now we get to talk about it.
We teased it. For those of you that have listened to our first two podcasts, we teased it last week. And welcome everyone to the Thoughts About Nothing podcast. This is our third one. We're taping this on a Thursday night. Which is actually pretty interesting because there's a football game going on as we speak right now, and something we'll get to later. But you and I happen to be playing each other in a fancy football pseudo regular season championship this week.
Yeah, this is for the regular season championship. There's a lot of money on the line here. I mean, a whopping $50 for winning the regular season. So,
Yeah, I mean, hey, that's about 6 times as much money as we've won on FanDuel together. So,
I hate you, Eddie Lacy. I hate you.
hey, let it go. So we'll get to some sports later. We're gonna do this podcast a little different tonight. We're gonna go movies from the start, and particularly one movie that just came out with a trailer, I believe about a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. That is one of our favorite movies, the one, the only Zoolander 2. I believe are they calling it Zoolander 2 TOO?
I think so. I've seen it different ways where they have the 2 as the Z, so it's like two-lander.
Oh, Two-lander. Yeah, I did see that.
So I don't know how they're doing it, but I'm excited.
I'm very excited. So this movie, the original came out back when we were in college, I believe, somewhere around that, early 2000s, I'm thinking.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. A classic for so many reasons.
I remember watching the first movie. The first time I watched the movie, I was like, God, that was so stupid. And then I watched it again and again and again, and it just got funnier every single time. It's still funny. I watched it 3 months ago. It's hilarious. The walk-off
Every
scene.
time it's on cable, yeah, every time it's on cable, I watch it. It is gotta be, I don't know, top 10 to 15 of all-time most rewatchable movies on cable.
Yes, I would agree.
And well, the best part about it too, the best part about it too is for cable, they don't really have to cut much out of it. A lot of good comedies, they have to, they bleep out cuss words, and you have to cut out certain scenes because it's too raunchy for cable. This movie, there's really, you got to bleep a couple words, but there's really not much in there that you'd have to take out.
Well, yeah, there's not. There's so many memorable parts. I mean, and lines in that movie that I could sit here and quote for an hour. I mean, I could probably just go through the whole movie for you.
Yeah, well, we're going to. First of all, we're going to come up with some of our favorite quotes. But so who would have thought a movie about male models would have been so good? First of all, where do you get the idea for a movie about male models? Like, who thinks about that?
It's a very clever idea because it's so shallow and you can just make fun of the whole industry. I mean, it's hilarious. I mean, the premise of everything, and then having these rival male models. I mean, it's just pure gold.
It's gold, but then also on top of the male model thing, you get Ben Stiller to play the lead, who is, I don't know, I think I know which dudes are handsome and not. I'm not into dudes, but whatever. He doesn't seem like an attractive man to me.
Ben Stiller is beautiful.
Is he? Okay, maybe I'm wrong. I don't. He seems to me like not a very attractive man. We'd have to get a woman's opinion, I guess, but. Casting him as the lead, and Owen Wilson too, who has his nose is crooked in 7 different places. Like, there's no way that dude's gonna be a male model.
I think that's what also makes it funny is that you got two guys that are just, I mean, average Joes being the most good-looking people, ridiculously good looking.
That's good. And Ben Stiller's dad, who obviously is,
Maury Ballstein.
yeah, who's a favorite of ours from Seinfeld. I think our love of Seinfeld has been well documented. He's fantastic in that movie.
Oh, he's Balls Models. Is that the name of the Balls Models?
I believe so. And the phone call he takes at the end from his wife just sums it up. Like there's nothing better than she's talking about making him dinner and it's going to get cold. I mean, just God, I love Jerry Stiller.
He is quite fantastic throughout the whole movie. I mean, and just the lines that just, I mean, the whole gasoline fight.
While George Michael's blaring, I believe.
Yes, it is. They're drinking orange frappuccinos, just rolling down the street in a Jeep, just having the time of their life, and a good old fashioned gasoline fight breaks out.
Oh God, I love this. So
I didn't think I could do it, Billy. I'm a great.
Yeah, by the way, a David Duchovny appearance in this post X-Files, which was super random.
Yeah, great cameo as the hand model.
Great cameo. Tremendous hands, by the way, too. I don't think many people have noticed that about him, but fantastic hands on that guy.
I love that he walks around with that contraption on his hand.
Yeah, and so that leads us to the guy who absolutely steals the movie, Will Ferrell as Mugtu. Just fantastic. I mean, this was kind of, I'd say, the beginning of Ferrell really coming into his own.
Well, the picture of him in the piano key necktie is my lock screen on my iPhone.
Is it really?
No, it's not, but I actually might make the change now because
you should. I'm going to hold you to that.
And I love the part when he gets so angry at his assistant Todd
for the latte.
Yeah, don't you know I get foamy, or I get bloated and farty with a foamy latte.
That Hansel, he's so hot right now.
So hot.
He's just so good, and really, this, he was, I think, still on Saturday Night Live, maybe, or was this just post Saturday Night Live for him?
It was towards the end. I think he was still on there because he was still relatively unknown. I mean, not unknown.
Well, he had done some stuff, but he was like breaking out. Like this was his kind of, he was definitely a household name, and this movie kind of just kept that going. Like, wow, this dude is funny.
I mean, was this his breakout role? I mean, I think Anchorman was like the one that cemented him.
Yeah, of course. Well, and that's something I want to get to actually is, so let's think of like the Mount Rushmore of Will Ferrell characters, if you will, and I'm just thinking movie characters.
So no SNL people.
No SNL, but like movies and shows, because I'm just going to start reading you names of people, and you tell me in the Mount Rushmore, out. We can narrow it down kind of at the end, but you're going to be surprised at how many just unbelievable characters he has. So I'm going to go down the list. So I think this one actually was the first one that he really cameoed. I forget his name in the movie, but the one in Austin Powers where he's like the henchman. Mustafa?
Yes, Mustafa.
That's what I had written down. I didn't want to buy in. No, probably not in the pantheon, right? But it's a good character.
I had broken my legs.
Yeah, he's just not in it enough. But like the 5 minutes in each movie he's in, he's fantastic in.
I think it's becoming gangrenous. It's beginning to smell a little like almonds.
This is good. I'm gonna make you do an impression of every single one of these characters. So we're gonna say not in the Mount Rushmore, right?
No, that's not. It's a good one, but it's not.
Right. Okay. Elf.
No.
Yeah, I don't see. Here's how I'm thinking of this: is if you say Will Ferrell's name what's the first couple of roles I think of? I think we can both agree Ron Burgundy is going to be number one on this list. So I'm not even going to mention Ron Burgundy. That's Will Ferrell
I
right
think
there.
Elf though appeals to more masses, and it's going to be a longevity. Like it's now cemented as a Christmas movie, and it's going to be one of those things that's played over and over again. I mean, it's not his best character, but it's going to be probably one of his most well-known roles.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's actually on the fringe. I do think it's a fringe role for him, but I'm gonna say out of the Mount Rushmore,
Yes, I agree.
Frank the Tank.
Who? God, I say no, just because. Oh God,
Wow. I think it's close. I think maybe we'll hold on to the end to see how many we get.
yeah,
But I mean,
I
come on,
think.
bring your green hat. We're going streaking. I mean, there's some good stuff in there.
Honey, do you think KFC is still open? Little
We're
cold
cold
out there,
out
isn't
there,
it, Frank?
Oh, this is gonna be a terrible podcast. We're just gonna be laughing at each other the whole time. I hope the people don't mind that. Next guy, Chaz Reinhold from probably the greatest cameo of all time, Wedding Crashers.
I mean, I want to put Chaz in there
I think
because
Chaz has to be in there.
yeah, because it's
The shock value and how many times every guy everywhere has said "Ma, the meatloaf." Fuck your dad more than most men, by the way.
yeah, in one sitting, my dad has said
Yes,
it more times than any other human being.
correct. Your dad has two lines. He has that one, and "We're not that drunk" from Beer Fest, and he says them over and over again,
Go
and
to
still thinks they're funny.
yeah.
And I'll give him credit. Half the time, it's still funny, so it's not bad.
I mean, death is nature's aphrodisiac.
It's a great line. I think Chaz Reinhold has to be in
I
there,
think
but
Chaz
we'll
is,
we'll we'll throw him in the maybe pile for now, along with Frank the Tank, and we'll come back to it. Chaz Michael Michaels from Blades of Glory.
um, he's good in that. I mean, he's really funny.
He
I don't
is
think
good, but he can't be in the pantheon, right?
it's not in the
Not in the Rushmore.
no, not in the Rushmore.
All right, Jackie Moon,
Another good one,
semi-pro.
but yeah, not. I mean, Chaz Michael Michaels is well above Jackie Moon.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
look, Jackie Moon's good, but I mean, Chaz Michael Michaels is really funny.
To me, Jackie Moon is Ron Burgundy, but if Ron Burgundy was a basketball player.
Eh, eh.
Like there's a lot of humor that's kind of similar, and he's kind of like he's the owner of the team, so he's sort of like this powerful position, but he's an idiot at the same time. Like, but it's not on this. I don't know. Burgundy just clicked where Jackie Moon is. I don't know. The whole movie is just a little bit of a mess in semi-pro.
I don't know.
So we're gonna throw him out on that one, right?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Jackie Moon's not in.
All right, Brennan, Step Brothers.
Um,
Got to be a contender, right? Even though it's basically just Will Ferrell. It's not too big of a character stretch, other than
yeah,
he's playing like a
I
kid.
just I don't know what John C. Riley and Will Ferrell got paid to do that movie, but it's just those two guys acting like children, and it's the funniest movie, I,
Agree.
maybe ever. I mean, that movie is so funny. And
I
talk
agree.
about
So it's
one
hard
line.
for me to separate his role from the entire movie itself. Like, you know,
Well, are we rating? I mean, in terms of characters,
right? That's what we're rating.
I would say he's fifth in the line of the four.
Okay, so yeah, I think he's on the outside looking in, much like Elf. I think it's the character itself is just so simple that I don't know how much credit we can give it,
We've
but the
got
movie itself is so funny.
yeah. So we've got Burgundy and we've got
Well,
Chaz.
we've got possibly Chaz, possibly Frank the Tank. All right, my next one, who the star of this conversation is Mugatu, I think has to be in. I think when you think Will Ferrell, Mugatu comes to mind really quickly.
Oh,
But
man.
do you think Wedding Crashers cameo before you think Mugatu?
I'm getting stressed out now because it's just getting hard. What I think we definitely agree. Ricky Bobby has to be in.
Yeah, that was my last name on here.
So we have
Ricky
to,
Bobby.
so we have 3 in. It's just who's going to get the last spot. So we've got Ricky Bobby.
We've got Ron Burgundy.
Shake and Bake. Ron Burgundy. And Chaz.
Reinhold, yes.
Reinhold.
So it's really Frank the Tank or Mugatu, and I think Mugatu just because it's so just out there. I think he completes the Mount Rushmore.
I think
there's room for 5. Maybe Frank the Tank's included too.
I'm going to go Frank the Tank needs to be in there over Chaz Reinhold.
No way. There's no shot.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Once it hits your lips.
Yeah, but there's no shot. Good. Ma the Meatloaf. I mean, he was in that movie for, I don't know, 12 minutes. And when you talk about Wedding Crashers, that's the first thing anyone talks about.
But I don't think that's true. But just not in it enough for it to be.
Care. It's a fantastic character.
What about Big Earl from Starsky and Hutch?
Oh yeah, I had that one. That's a good one, but
about to get weird. 2 dragons.
It's really good, and I also had Ashley Schaefer from
from
card dealer and Eastbound and Down, which was a fantastic character. I don't think enough people have seen Eastbound and Down. All right, well, we're going to disagree on this, but I think it's clear Ricky Bobby, Ron Burgundy, and Chaz Reinhold were the 3? Were the 3 definites?
No, Chaz.
You had Frank the Tank in.
Mugatu. Mugatu was definitely.
Mugatu's a definite, yeah.
Yeah, because I love him as the evil guy. It's Chaz Michaels. The more I think about it, God, he's really funny. He
was really good, and that's another really rewatchable movie. Yeah.
All right, all right. Okay, it's Frank the Tank. I think is in.
Okay. I'm fine with that. And it doesn't. We don't even have to narrow this down. This isn't even our top 5 segment that we'll get to later. But the reason I wanted to do that is because I just listed off 10 to 12 Will Ferrell characters that are just pretty iconic, and there's no other actor modern day has had any kind of run like that. So I think Ferrell is on a run that if it was a sports analogy, this would be he's in his LeBron James run, I think, right now, of just being a dominant force.
He's in his prime. Definitely in his prime.
Yeah, well, I think he's coming out of it now. So is LeBron, I think. But I think, it's probably somewhere near the end, but hell of a run. I mean, we're talking 10, 15 years now of fantastic stuff. So that going with this theme too. So when you think one of the things that makes Zoolander great was that Ferrell, Stiller, Owen Wilson all in it together. One of the cool things, it seemed like when this movie came out, right around this time, Wedding Crashers, all these movies we're talking about, Old School, there was this comedy team, it seemed like, where it was Luke Wilson, Owen Wilson, Ben Stiller, Ferrell, Vince Vaughn. And am I missing anybody? I think that was it. It's pretty much seemed like every comedy that came out had some combination of those guys in it for a 5-year stretch.
Yes.
I mean, Old School, Wedding Crashers, Zoolander,
Anchorman.
Anchorman, they're all in it. Yeah, I mean, it's just It was amazing. And I don't, do you feel like there's one of those out there right now? I guess it's the Jonah Hill, Seth Rogen, Franco team.
Yeah. There's Tina Fey and Amy Poehler. I mean,
Yeah, but they do stuff, but they're not really in like a lot of movies together.
but don't they have a movie coming out here soon? Like,
Oh, I don't know.
I think they do.
Yeah, but
They do
I mean,
they hosted those shows and stuff.
yeah, I just, like, and then there's like the other faction that's like the Sandler had, Rob Schneider and Rock and Kevin James, like Spade. He's got all those guys. They always do their thing together. I just don't feel like there's really one of those out right now where it's like the funniest people are teaming up to do stuff together.
Yeah, I mean, there was that movie, This Is the End or whatever. So you had
Right, which is the Franco Rogan.
Rogan.
Can I have a little hot take? I'm not a big fan of James Franco.
Did you see the interview?
Yeah, and I liked it. That to me, that's my favorite character he's ever played.
Yeah, Franco.
My favorite movie he's been in.
I mean, he should have won an Oscar for that.
Possibly.
I mean, he was so funny in that movie.
He was great. The premise was great. I did not like Pineapple Express, which everybody loved. I thought it was terrible.
Yeah, I thought Pineapple Express was awful, and it had Rogan and Franco, and then the Eastbound and Down guy, Danny McBride,
who I love.
Yeah, who's hilarious, but that movie was not that funny. But I'll tell you what movie I thought was terrible, but then really started to grow on me as I watched it more was Tropic Thunder, which was the Ben Stiller.
Oh, fantastic movie.
Jack Black.
Yeah, and Tom Cruise has to be in the list of greatest cameos of all time.
Yes, Cruise in that movie made that whole movie.
I didn't know it was him when the movie came out. Like, I saw the movie and I didn't think anything of it. I go, oh, that guy was funny. And then somebody told me after the fact, or I heard it on the news or something, and I go, are you kidding me? That was Tom Cruise?
I mean, he was Les Grossman, right?
Yeah.
He had the big hairy arms, chest, and he was great in that.
He was good. So back to the comedy thing. I'm a little concerned right now, and I hope this comes full circle, but it doesn't seem like there's a ton of great comedic actors right now. Or maybe it's just a different generation. Like Jason Segel kind of seems like the guy right now, but he's kind of odd. Like he makes odd movies, and he has a weird sense of humor.
Yeah, and there's Andy Samberg too, and
same thing. I loved his digital shorts on SNL, but I don't find him like movie funny. If that makes any sense.
He's never going to be. I don't think he'll ever be a movie star, and I haven't really watched his Brooklyn Nine-Nine on Fox or whatever it is, but I hear it's pretty good.
Yeah, I've seen pieces of it. I don't know. It's predictable. It's like an old school, like really predictable sitcom.
Okay, it's. I hear it's funny. I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen it, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, his digital shorts were fantastic, and some will go down as classics. I mean, Jizz in My Pants was the funniest thing for a solid 6 months in everyone's life.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, well, just anything he did with Timberlake.
Well, yeah, Dick in the Box, I'm on a Boat. I mean, all that stuff. I threw it on the ground. So yeah. I threw it on the ground.
I'm on a Boat was fantastic.
I'm an adult. Yeah, I'm on a Boat was funny. You had the flippy floppies with what's the rapper from Tallahassee?
T-Pain.
T-Pain, of Of course. How could I?
T-Pain's from Tallahassee. I think you're confusing him with Flo Rida.
Flo Rida? No, I know who it is. T-Pain. T-Pain's from Tallahassee. He went to Florida State, didn't he?
Oh, I have no idea. I try not to think about anything Florida State.
You got to know that stuff. You're too good for that.
So we have to talk about one more sequel that might be coming out too. That apparently is a go. Last I heard was Top Gun 2.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Top Gun 2. I don't know if I should be excited. I mean,
I don't know either. And here's I have a big question. So apparently Val Kilmer's in. That's what they said. And Tom Cruise apparently has been on board the whole time. So you have Iceman and you have Maverick. Do you think Goose is going to be in it?
The ghost of Goose?
Yeah.
I mean, I think they might just go sci-fi thriller and bring the ghost of Goose in there.
But here's the thing. If they actually have, it's Anthony Edwards, right? Is his name that plays Goose? If they actually have, he's like bald now, right? So if they have the ghost of Goose, how are they going to explain that he's aged like 40 years since the first time, since he died?
I don't know how are they going to explain that Val Kilmer has tripled in size since the original?
How is Val Kilmer going to fit into a fighter jet?
How is he going to fit in the film frame? I mean,
I don't know. These are all valid questions. I'm nervous about this. It's been, if they did this movie in 1998, yeah. If they did this movie in like 1998, great. I'm liking it.
Val Kilmer was Batman. That's when this could have happened.
Oh man, that was not a good Batman either.
Oh, it was the Val Kilmer and Clooney Batman are just so bad.
That's how good Clooney is that everyone forgets that he was Batman. That's how likable George Clooney is.
That's just how forgetful that damn movie is.
Well, that too, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm very scared about this. I don't know. I don't know how it can end well. I don't know what the plot's going to be. I think they're going to have to be like instructors or something.
Yeah,
maybe I don't know. They get called into combat. I don't know how they're going to work it. Cruise still looks good. He could still pull it off, but I'm worried about Kilmer. I'm worried about the entire plot. That I just don't even think it would hold up today.
And how? I mean, are these the Hatfield and McCoys? I mean, how are they going to get the grudge match going between Iceman and Maverick 30 years later? What are they still pissed off about? I mean, they're in their 50s. They probably both have prostate issues.
Maybe Maverick's Ice's wingman or vice versa now. Maybe since they made up at the very end of the first movie, maybe they're co-pilots.
Well, maybe they're co-pilots in life too, because the volleyball scene in the first one leaves a lot up for interpretation. So maybe there's a Top Gun 2 wedding.
It actually leaves nothing for interpretation. First of all, they were downright gay.
It was. I mean, they were covered in baby oil and playing a game of volleyball that was hard to watch.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm nervous. We'll more to come on that. It's still in the works. I don't even know if they have a script yet, so we'll see.
Well,
are you? Go ahead.
I'll tell you. Since we got on the Batman theme, the new Superman versus Batman trailer came out yesterday. I don't know if I could be more excited for a movie.
Really? I haven't seen it. Does Affleck look legit as Batman?
Well, this is like the third trailer, so I'm excited for Affleck as Batman. I was skeptical at first. I mean, I wish Bale would have done it because it just seems right. I mean,
yeah, he was
I'm Batman. I'm Batman. But I'm really excited about that movie. And I was worried about Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor, but he seems like he's a perfect little twerpy nerd guy to be this evil genius.
Yeah, I think that's actually a great cast. I think he's going to be great in that part.
I was nervous. I find him kind of annoying for the most part, but he is Lex Luthor, it seems like, with the long hair. I mean, I'm used to seeing the Gene Hackman bald guy,
Right.
but I like it. I like it. I'm excited. Really, really excited.
You just went Peyton Manning on me.
Hey, when I have to, I have to.
I like it. All right. So, final thoughts? Zoolander 2? Do you think it's going to be a success or what?
I think Zoolander 2 will be just like the first one in the terms of I'm going to watch it the first time and think, what the hell did I just watch? And then it'll just get funnier and funnier. It's just too funny. The premise is just too funny for those guys that are in it for it to be bad.
I agree. I'm a little concerned with the cameos and stuff that we saw with Bieber, and they show a lot of cameos in the trailer. I'm a little worried, but in Austin Powers 3, they had the same thing and they did it perfectly. It was really quick. It was right at the beginning. So I'm hoping it's something similar, that it's at the beginning, they get it all out of the way.
I mean, I nearly fell out in the movie theater. That was so funny. Mini-me.
Well, all right. I think we should segue this because gold member that will come up again in a second. But our top. Let's go to the big top 5 segment, our most popular segment in the podcast. So we're going to stick with the theme here, and we're going to go top 5 sequels. And I think we made the distinction. It doesn't necessarily have to be the second. If there's a trilogy or whatever, you can it doesn't have to be the second movie. It could be further down the list.
Right. So if you wanted to include Major League Back to the Minors.
Oh, that's a classic. By the way, I should have included that, but I did come up with a worst 2 on mine that I'll mention.
Your Razzie. What is your Razzie?
Major League Back to the Minors, now that I think about it, should be in there, but Caddyshack 2, obviously. I mean, that goes down as one of the worst movies of all time, right?
That was just a complete dumpster fire of a movie.
Terrible. I have Ghostbusters 2 in there.
Oh, no, not as a Razzie.
Really?
I'm not saying
I couldn't stand it.
It fell a long way with the whole ooze thing, definitely the first one, but not a Razzie. Not a Razzie.
Right. And then Rocky 5 obviously is somewhere way, way down the list. I pretend it didn't exist.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I didn't come up with a Razzie list, but things that come to mind are movies I just can't believe they made a second one on, like Hot Tub Time Machine 2. Like, who watched the first one to where that they thought a number?
I liked the first one, actually. I thought it wasn't great, but I liked it.
Yeah, but you don't make a sequel on something that wasn't great.
Well, that's true.
So I didn't see the sequel, but yeah, I didn't have that, but the Major League Back to the Minors was one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
It was awful.
Yes. Absolutely awful.
I mean, that's really all you can say. When the only holdover is what was the catcher's name? Rube. That's not a good thing.
Yes.
All right. Would you like to go first on the top 5 segment today? Top 5 sequels.
I can if you like. Is that what you'd like me to do?
Sure, buddy. Go for it.
All right. So, number 5. We'll start there. And I don't know if it's because I'm in the holiday mood, but Christmas Vacation.
Ooh, good one.
To me is just, it's not Christmas unless I watch that movie. And it is so funny. Randy Quaid in it is unbelievable. There's so many funny parts. The cat dying, the tree thing, Christmas being ruined. It's just so shitters full is. I mean, that's the line of the movie.
That's a good one.
Number 4. See, I went serious, and I've got. See, I had Major League 2 just outside my top 5 because I liked Major League 2, and I like baseball movies.
I'll have more to say about that on my list, so don't worry.
But number 2, I have Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Yeah. Is this number 2 or number 4?
Sorry, number 4.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I got excited. Number 4 is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that one, Temple of Doom as well. I mean, there's
Sean Connery is what made that movie, being Indiana Jones' dad. I have a man crush for Sean Connery.
Sean Connery.
I'm gonna do a real bad one here. Sean Connery. Shaken, not stirred.
That was not good. Move along.
No, I want to do one more. All right. Number 3 is Superman 2.
Really?
Love Superman 2 with General Zod, and I'm like a closet comic book guy, but Superman, that movie just reminds me of being a kid and watching that movie and just thinking I was Superman. And it was just a good movie. It's a good movie.
All right. I'll take your word for it. I'm not really a big Superman guy, so I remember seeing it, but I can't name a single scene from that movie.
Well, number 2 for me is just one of the all-time classics. It's just hard not to have this on any top 5. Is Godfather 2.
Yep, I have that on mine as well.
It's probably the greatest sequel of all time, but I'm not an overly huge Godfather fan.
Yeah, that's the same thing I said. It's on my list out of respect. Like, I realize how good of a movie it is.
That's
even though it's not one of my personal favorites.
Correct. That's kind of mine. Like, it's just one of those things where it's like, look, it's the tip of the hat. Like, this guy, that was a good freaking movie, man.
Yeah.
My number 1 is The Dark Knight. So
awesome. Fantastic movie.
Just love that movie. Heath Ledger as the Joker, I think will go down as the ultimate Joker. I mean, Jack Nicholson's was good in the first Batman, but Heath Ledger, that was so great. The whole movie was just a great movie. So Dark Knight's my number 1.
I agree, and I'm going to add to that. I will say I'm interested to see Jared Leto as the Joker in Suicide Kings. I've seen parts of the trailer. He looks freaky.
Yeah, that Suicide Squad looks like it's going to be a fun movie.
Suicide Squad, yeah. So we'll see there. But yeah, the other thing. So I have Dark Knight as my number 1 as well, which I guess I should have held the suspense out, but I'm not going to since we were just talking about it. It was. The best part to me is it's not really a comic book movie. That was just a good movie. Like, forget the comic aspect of it. If he wasn't dressed as Batman and you just made him, you just had killers and like a good guy, like, that's a fantastic 2.5-hour movie.
It is, and it's just, it doesn't drag in any spots. It doesn't. It's very suspenseful, and it's just
it doesn't. And honestly, I thought the movie was over about an hour before it was, and I still wanted more when the movie ended. Like, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, and Mr. Two-Face Harvey Dent, I forget the actor's name. He was really good in the movie as well.
Aaron Eckhart, yeah.
Aaron Eckhart. There you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, we spent enough time on The Dark Knight. Fantastic movie. My number 1 as well. So I'll go down my list fairly quickly. We've hit a lot of these already, actually. I had some honorable mentions: The Bourne Supremacy, Back to the Future 3, Airplane 2, which was fantastic. Yes. Not quite as good as the original, but it's good. And then 2, I think, underappreciated movies based on hype. Hangover 2 and Anchorman 2 were honorable mentions. Both kind of got, I'd say, less than favorable reviews, but based on how good the first ones were. But looking back on both those movies, they're actually pretty funny, especially Hangover 2 has some really good parts.
I would agree. Both those movies are hit hard because they just, neither one could ever live up to the amount of hype I mean, Anchorman 2 and Hangover 2, I mean, those have to be in the last decade the most anticipated sequels in
Oh,
terms of.
absolutely. And the originals were two of the best movies ever, best comedies. I mean, well,
Yeah.
The Hangover was the biggest grossing
Yeah.
comedy ever, right?
Hangover may go down as the best comedy. I mean, that thing was so original and fresh and just a wonderful movie with basically unknowns.
Yeah. So I had those just on my outside, but I think they're great movies. So my top five, number five, I had Major League Two, which we talked about. Not a great movie, but just a personal favorite of mine. Just so many good lines. Charlie Sheen, just incredible in that movie,
If you
in
could
all
get it,
those
I'll let you
movies.
rename it.
That one, the reason I like that one so much is Euchre really takes over that movie.
He'll need a rocket up his ass to catch that one.
Oh, such a good one. Number four, I had The Godfather 2, which we already mentioned. Number three, I had Austin Powers Goldmember. That's a personal favorite movie of mine. I just think line for line, that's one of the funniest movies ever.
It's he's climbing up the ladder at the end. He's like, Dr. Eva, now I can see why you're nuts.
I always knew you were crazy, but now I can see you're nuts. Get the line right. Come on.
There you go.
But
You're
I
not
mean,
gonna put that in your mouth, are you? Oh my god.
that one for me is the closest movie to Airplane as far as you could watch it over and over again and pick up something new that's like in the background, or like there's a scene when they're on the ship and he valets his Dr. Evil chair that I didn't pick up on like the first 6 times I watched that movie, because it just kind of, he does it so nonchalantly, but it's like, man, that's so funny. Number two for me, which I could have gone with really a few different sequels in this one, but Rocky 2 is going to be, that's my favorite one when it comes down to it. I really like Rocky 3 and 4 especially, but Rocky 2 to me is still, it's still like a movie, it's more than just the boxing. There was, they were still trying to kind of make it a love story, and he was still in the streets, Rocky, coming off a loss, avenging the loss to Apollo. That to me was the best Rocky.
Yeah, I agree. I like Rocky 4 better.
Rocky 4 to me is more exciting, but Rocky 2 is like a better movie, if that makes sense.
That makes sense, but I must break you. I must break you.
But I also don't. Number four, Rocky 4 doesn't have Mick, and Apollo dies. Like you're missing two really big pieces on that too.
Yeah, I agree. It's just, to me, it's the most memorable one, and I don't know if it's just because Rocky 4 was like the one that, like, I watched first and then had to watch the other three.
Well, Dolph Lundgren, probably the best villain of any of them. Like Apollo was a villain, but you kind of sort of liked him because he was like Muhammad Ali, So it was like you hate him, but he's kind of cool. Like you kind of like him. Like Dolph Lundgren Drago killed someone. Like he killed Apollo. That's not cool.
He did. Look, in real life, Dolph Lundgren eats Stallone's lunch.
I don't know. Stallone was really roided out and jacked up in that movie.
You're right. I did forget about the performance-enhancing drugs that Stallone was for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He is
incredibly jacked
of steroids.
Yes, and I've heard really good things about the new Creed movie. By the way, speaking of Rocky, I heard Stallone is incredible in it, in a supporting role, and I heard the fight scenes are great. And I heard there's going to be a sequel on Creed, which I would like.
They're already planning a sequel.
Well, they're not already planning, but I'm just hearing it's really being received well, and obviously there's room to do a Creed 2. You could basically do a whole Rocky franchise just with Creed.
I like it.
I'm all for it. I haven't seen it, but I'm a big Michael B. Jordan fan, so I hope this does happen. Number one, by the way, we already said this, but The Dark Knight on my list. So that was my top 5.
I like it. I think they're both solid top 5s. Very different.
I agree, and I'd like to throw out there. I've never seen Star Wars or Star Trek, so everybody that is gonna comment or tweet at me or whatever, don't hate me because I didn't include one of those. I've just never seen them. I'm not really into the sci-fi stuff.
I like the Star Wars movies, but they're not enough to get in there. And I've never seen the Lord of the Rings or the Harry Potters or any. I haven't seen those. I for damn sure didn't watch any of the stupid vampire one. What's the teeny bopper?
Yeah.
That's how terrible. Twilight.
Yeah, Twilight. Pattinson, Kristen Stewart.
Any sequel list or anything.
No. I applaud you for that.
I'm glad that crap is gone and they don't have Burger King ads for Team Jacob or Team whatever.
That's good to know. All right, quickly. We've wasted a lot of time talking about movies, which was fun. I actually like the way we did this one. Not a lot of sports talk, but let's try and squeeze some in because there were a lot of things that happened this week, sports wise. So let's go super quick. We'll kind of just do one sentence recaps here, but I'm gonna gloat real quick. Mark Richt going to the U. As we know, I'm a big Miami Hurricane fan. I love it. You're an SEC guy, though. Talk me down from my excitement. Give me why Richt is not going to be a good fit at Miami.
I actually think he is a good fit, but I just think that like the Georgia fan base, you'll become apathetic with him not winning the big game. He kind of carries that stigma, and I'm actually sad to see him go because Florida kind of owned him other than the Will Muschamp years when we were owned by everyone. I think he beat Urban once. I mean, he could not touch Spurrier. I mean, I think Zook beat him all 3 times. So he's going to have a game, Fish. You're going to get to the point where you're going to think we've got this thing going, and then you're going to beat Florida State. They're going to be in the top 5, and then you're going to turn around the next week and lose to Syracuse, and they're going to rip the heart right out of your chest. That's Mark Richt.
Oh, well, thank you. You have now set me in a depression.
Good. I was supposed to talk you down, and I did. But
you effectively did it.
You're not – you won't – maybe the first year, but you will not be a 7-win football team anymore. He does know how to win football games.
Yeah, that's what we needed, stability.
He will bring that.
He brings that. If he brings Eason with him, that 5-star quarterback, I'd be even happier. Just to go right behind Brad Kaya in a year or two, that'd be really good.
Yes.
So Georgia is hiring Kirby Smart, supposedly. Who do you think has the better career, Kirby Smart or Richt from here on out?
From here on out, I still think Richt because I personally don't like defensive coaches as head coaches. I know that there's great ones like Bill Belichick and Saban. Those are both defensive guys, but I always like guys that come from the offensive side.
Yeah, well, yeah, and Muschamp obviously has soured you even more on that.
Yes, and that is still a very fresh wound.
I think I'd agree with you. I think Richt, even though he's older, I don't know how many years he has left, but I really think I'm with you. I don't think he's the greatest day of the game or big game coach, but I think he recruits really well. And I think Butch Davis and Larry Coker proved that if you can recruit really well in Miami and get that thing going, you could have a monkey coach that team and you'd win games. Like, it's just there can be so much talent down in South Florida down there that they can run themselves basically.
Yeah, I mean that's Rick's job number one is to get the Gators and the Knowles out of his backyard. I mean, he can just farm that area. He can win. I mean, back in Miami's heyday, that's all he had to do. They didn't have to go pull the California kids or whatever. It was just get the Belglades kids, get the Miami Central kids, and make sure that they're playing for the Hurricanes.
Yeah, you need one California kid. You need the quarterback. That's it.
Yeah, Dorsey. That's right. You got to get the Dorsey, the guy.
Well, Kai is from California too.
Oh, I didn't know that, but
yeah, just throwing that in there.
Whatever.
Anyway, we don't have to spend the whole podcast talking about Miami, even though I'd love it. Let's get to some better things. I'd like your thoughts on the Florida State game from last week. That seemed like a really impressive showing from your Gators there.
Thank God for the safety. I mean, that's all I can say. That
I have a serious question for you though. How did Will Muschamp start coaching your team again?
That's the scary thing, and I parallel this team to I think it was the 2011 team, Muschamp's second year. Where
I've been making that parallel all year, by the way, to people.
And it's felt that way, but at least we've got an offensive guy, and at times you saw it start to happen with Will Grier. You could start to see the offense make strides. I mean, that was Will Grier in that offense. Things were starting to click. There was creativity. And then Treon came in, played a good game against LSU, and then they just got scared using him, and they've been scared ever since.
Well, I mean, he's not on the PEDs that Will Grier was, obviously. So how could he be as good?
Look, PEDs does not read a defense. It may have more weight on the kid, but Will Grier, one thing he was doing was getting rid of the ball.
I'm just kidding, buddy. Yeah, that was a joke. Calm down. It's going to be okay.
I'll choke you, mother.
All right. Well,
I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, I think I've made you angry enough. I just wanted to rub it in. We're not even gonna bother doing a top 4 prediction because it's pretty set in stone at this point who's getting in. We'll get to predictions for some of these games this week.
Unless my wild and crazy prediction of North Carolina.
I know. We'll get to that.
3 weeks ago at number 23, North Carolina.
Oh, Jesus. Here we go. Can I just say I think they're I don't think they're overrated. I think they're properly rated right now. I think they're going to get blown out by Clemson. But we'll get to that. We're going to get to that game in our predictions for the week.
If they win, let's save it. If they win, you have to call me Crystal Ball Maze.
I will, but they still won't get in the top 10, or the top 4.
They'll get screwed out. They'll get screwed because of TV ratings and money, and Ohio State will sneak in there.
Oh God, I hope that doesn't happen. Now you've just depressed me even more.
That's of course what will happen. What will happen is 2 Big Ten teams will be in that freaking playoff, and I'll just want to kill myself.
Can I get you to admit on this podcast that was not pass interference in the UNC or the Ohio State Miami game back in 2002?
I don't want to go on record.
How dare you?
Okay. It was clearly not pass interference.
Biggest bullshit call in all of sports history.
At the time, it was absolutely not pass interference. And Craig Krenzel and Maurice Clarett beat.
Why did we start talking about college football? We're both angry now. Like, what just happened here?
You brought that on yourself.
I know. We're going to pro football quickly. Not a whole lot to talk about other than, is everyone injured in the NFL right now?
Yes, everyone is injured, either psyche-wise or physically injured. And I'm pretty sure if Ben Roethlisberger was just a hand and 2 legs, he would still play quarterback for the Steelers.
He would. He needs to donate a collarbone to Tony Romo, I think. Because that guy, he's broken his collarbone. What is this, the 15th time? I mean, this is getting a little ridiculous.
I was getting an oil change at the tire place, and the guy's talking to me about Tony Romo, and he's like, it's the day after Thanksgiving. He's like, "Oh, that guy went down in And he was faking that injury. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure he probably rebroke his collarbone. He's like, no, he was faking it. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure he probably broke his collarbone. Because
Yeah, first of all, Romo's a very tough quarterback. He has played through.
So,
yeah.
Does Jason Garrett keep his job?
I mean, he has to get a pass kind of because Romo's been out and Bryant was out for all, but I don't know what they do. I mean, the rumors today were they might bring in Johnny Manziel next year.
Oh my God.
I don't know what I'm not a Jason Garrett fan, but they were also kind of a botched instant replay call away last year from being in the NFC title game. So who knows?
That Dez Bryant play, I mean, that was a catch if I've ever seen one in my life. That was the stupidest call I've ever seen.
It was, and I know the guy. I'm not going to say his name, but I know the head replay official who has made that call, and I have let him hear it ever since. And I have no ties to the Cowboys. It was a clear catch, and I tell him every time I see him that it was a catch.
Good. I hope you do. Catch. You get a T-shirt made that says "This is a catch."
Yeah. I'd like to toot my own horn for a second, as you did about UNC earlier. My crazy prediction, I believe 2 weeks ago on this podcast, I think it was the last one we did since Thanksgiving, altered us last week, but I said Brock Osweiler would fill in superbly for Peyton Manning and would lead them to the playoffs. And by God, that looks like what he is doing.
Let me stop you for a moment and set clear expectations for this show. I am the only one that will be tooting my own horn.
I didn't sign up for that. It's not going to happen often because I'm usually wrong about everything, but this one I've been right at least for 2 weeks. So I'd like to pound my chest a little bit.
I mean, I literally thought there was no way, even through 3 quarters of that game on Monday night, that they would ever win that game. And
trust in the Osweiler.
I guess so. I guess good old Brock, the 6'8" assassin.
Is he better than Peyton Manning right now? Not career, just like today. This year's version of Peyton Manning versus Brock Osweiler. Is Osweiler better?
That's a hard question because I think.
How is that a hard question? That's the easiest question there's ever been. Manning had 9 touchdowns and 17 interceptions.
I agree, but here's what I think: if Manning is obviously healthy and able to be even just a shell of Manning, he's still the guy you want in the Super Bowl for that team.
No, he's not. You didn't want him in the Super Bowl when he was his real self. He was not great in the playoffs.
You don't give the keys to Brock Osweiler.
You give the keys to Osweiler. That's what I'm saying.
I bet you do. Look, you have a man crush for him. I got it.
He's really tall and he's got a nice beard. What can I say?
He's dreamy.
He's got a cannon of an arm too.
You have to. I mean, you're 6'8" for Christ's sake. You better have a cannon of an arm.
I mean, kinda, but we've seen some tall quarterbacks that have not had the best arms. Pitchers, especially. We've seen some really tall pitchers that don't have great arms. Mark Hendrickson comes to mind for our beloved Rays.
Oh, wow. Wow. I mean, I'm flabbergasted we've got a Mark Hendrickson sighting on the podcast. That's a stretch, my friend.
It is. All right, we got to wrap this thing up. We've gone too long. Let's get to our picks of the week quickly.
Okay.
I love that I threw this game in there just to get your take. Florida and Alabama. Alabama, SEC championship, mind you. Alabama, 17-point favorite. Seems high.
I don't. I mean, it should be 3 touchdowns. I have no confidence in Florida on offense to do anything with Treon Harris. That's going to be a bloodbath.
So you're taking Alabama and giving the points.
Yes.
I'm taking Florida. I think it's too much. SEC championship seems to always be close. They'll play their hearts out. They're not going to win, but I think it's like a 10-point game,
If
14-point
we
game.
lose by less than 30, that's a moral victory.
We have a good defense, and Alabama isn't the most prolific offense. They have a great – they'll wear you down at the end, but they're
that's
not
exactly
going
what
to –
Florida State did with Dalvin Cook is, he got those last 2 touchdowns because Florida was like, screw it, I'm tired of tackling.
Yeah, well, I'm banking on you guys at least putting up more than a safety this game. Put up more than a safety, and I think you cover.
No kicking game. So.
Oh God, yeah, I forgot to even talk about that. Oh man.
I mean, seriously,
What did I text you? What did I text you during that game? Is the matchup between your kicker and Florida State's kicker, who he's one of the best in the country, had to be the biggest gap of any position in any game ever.
Yes. The widest margin of probably the best in history versus a guy that is not even making 50% of his kicks.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's a bigger mismatch than if Case Keenum were to play against Tom Brady.
Yes, that is big.
And that's saying a lot.
That it is the biggest mismatch. I mean, it's like Mike Tyson fighting Mickey the Midget from Seinfeld.
That's a mismatch right there. Although Mickey was tough, man. He was a scrapper.
He's scrappy, but I'm pretty sure Iron Mike's taking him down in one.
All right. Pac-10 or Pac-12, whatever they are now, championship. Stanford, USC. Stanford -4.5 last I looked. And outside chance of making the playoffs, though. Who you got?
I got Stanford in that one. I think they're coming off that big win versus ND. There's the fear of them having a letdown game, but I think they take the momentum and take out USC.
I agree. No such thing as a letdown game in a championship game, in my opinion. I like it. I'm not thrilled about giving up 4.5, but I'm just going to. I don't trust USC right now. Big Ten championship, that huge playoff implications. Honestly, obviously this is a loser leave town, winners in match. Michigan State, Iowa, 3.5. Michigan State last I saw.
I'm going to take Iowa.
Really?
Yeah. Look, I think Michigan State's the better team, and Iowa has not played anyone. But everyone is going to pick Michigan State, so I'm going with the upset.
All right, I'm one of the everyone. I'm taking Michigan State. I think they might be the best team in football, in college football. So I like them, and my early prediction is if they make it to the playoffs, I think they win the playoffs.
Really?
Yeah. And then the last college game, the ACC championship. Here you go. Here's where you can toot your own horn. I already know who you're taking in this, but UNC Clemson. Clemson favored by 5.
I'm going to take UNC just because that was my wild and crazy prediction.
Of course you are.
I don't know if they actually beat Clemson, but I'm going to take UNC.
I got Clemson. I like UNC. I just think they have not come close to playing anybody as good as Clemson. And Clemson's just, I think, going to be able to handle their tempo and all the things they like to do. Now, the one thing, UNC does have a really good defense, so that'll be interesting to see how Clemson does with that. But I'm going to take Clemson laying the 5.
I'm still waiting for Clemson to fall on their face, but maybe they won't.
Yeah, well, we'll see. It's Dabo's time, buddy.
It's Dabo's world. We're just living in it.
All right, NFL picks. Falcons at Bucks. Big game for our Bucks. Tampa Bay -1 last I saw.
I got our Bucks taking that one.
I do too, and I don't know what to make of this team right now. They should have won. They needed to win that game at Indy last week, and just kind of they weren't bad, but they just didn't look good. But the Falcons are a dumpster fire right now.
Yeah, they've lost 5 of 6, and they can't even get out of their own way.
terrible.
Yes.
By the way, this is a very weak slate of games in the NFL, but Jets at Giants is my next one. Both still in the playoff hunt. Jets for a wild card, kind of a long shot at this point, but they're in there. And then the Giants are in that shitty division. They're a game back right now.
I refuse to pick this game because I hate both so much.
Okay. The line was Jets -1, by the way. I'm going with the Giants just because when you think they're going to do good, and coming on last week, everybody's down to do good.
Yeah, screw both teams.
Okay. And then the actually really good game of the week, Seahawks at the Vikings. Huge playoff implications for Seattle there. The Vikings still fighting for that division. It's a pick 'em last I saw.
So you got Russell Wilson and Teddy Bridgewater.
Teddy Bridgewater.
I don't know who I want there because that's the Vikings are playing good football. I'm going to go Vikings at home.
Yeah, I'm torn on this one too. I watched pretty much all that Seahawks game last week. Their defense is not good anymore. Just flat out not good. Richard Sherman's still okay, but the rest of them are terrible now.
It's amazing how quickly a window closes in the NFL.
Well, it just has to do with depth. Like one guy leaves and then they don't pay another guy. I mean, you just start losing key pieces and it's just not the same.
Yep.
I'm going to go with Seattle. Just, I don't know. I don't even know why, just because they're proven. I don't feel like Bridgewater's going to be able to pick apart their secondary. That's the thing. Like their defense can be picked apart, but I still think you've got to be pretty confident. I'm not sold on Bridgewater. He's okay, but I'm not sold he can just sit back there and pick a team apart.
I agree. I agree with that on Bridgewater. And, yeah, I think he's an above-average quarterback. I mean, is he a franchise guy? No, I don't think he's shown anything that he's a franchise guy. But when you got Adrian Peterson behind you, everyone looks better. I mean, Christian Ponder actually was able to scratch together two seasons.
Yeah, Christian Ponder. Great wife, terrible quarterback.
Yep.
All right, buddy. Any crazy prediction for the week or the upcoming? I guess you're still just riding the UNC crazy prediction. So
I'm gonna stay with the UNC crazy prediction, and I don't have any other insight in terms of something that's going to be nutty.
All right. I only have one. Mine is that Miami will win the national championship within the first 3 years. Mark Richt is there. So suck on that, everybody else. The U is back, baby. The U is back.
I don't want to end on that.
It's not going to happen, by the way. That was just wishful thinking. I wanted to get back to a happy place.
That sucks. I mean, how about you guys start by selling 30,000 tickets? You know,
come on. Why do we have to go there?
Baby steps,
come
man.
On. As a Rays fan, go there with any other team.
Baby steps, man. Yeah, there's only 6 home games, for God's sake.
I could spend it's a whole nother podcast. We'd have to talk about this. In a bad location, fans are all spread out all over the country. I don't want to talk about this. Why did you have to get me in a bad mood again, Maze?
Yeah, because I like to do it.
Way to go.
Are you playing outro music? Play outro music right now. Start it, go. Boom, 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 boom.
Okay. It's done. All right, buddy. We'll hopefully reconvene on a Wednesday like normal next week, get back on a regular schedule. Good luck to your Gators this weekend, even though they're going to get killed.
I'm planning on doing yard work.
All right, buddy. We will talk to you next week.
Yes.
See you, everybody.
See ya.